Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Crush Fam podcast. I am your host, Canthurion, aka Chris Crush Jacob, because Chris Crush will make the ball jump, jump. I have a couple of rookies with us today, and also a couple of veterans with us today. Some of them may be in the background. Some of them may have things to contribute. Only time will tell. We're going to start it off with Mr. Barry B Benson. How's it going today, sir?
It's going well.
So excited to have you actually on the podcast. We had your commentary, which is half the battle. That was very exciting. You were contributing without even talking, so thank you for that. And now we've got with us also another rookie going down a little bit. He's got a few names. We've got a Yosheroo, okay? We've got a BDU 754. Okay, and we've got a Brusdar Lemonade. How's it going today, sir?
I'm vibing.
I love it. That's the whole point of this. The whole point is to relax, talk about some baseball, talk about some PBE. It's gonna be great. We've got a two-time now, in his second appearance, Cleetus McSandwiches, aka Porkchop Sandwiches, who I occasionally call Porkchop Sandwiches. How's it going today, sir?
I'm good. Happy to be on again.
Yes. Love the enthusiasm, love the energy. And last but not least, in any stretch of the imagination, we've got Super TARDIS 101, aka Duper TARDIS 101 right now, aka Rickie Vaughne, co-GM of the Demons. How's it going?
I'm the head GM, mind you.
Oh, I thought both GMs were co-GMs. You guys are really egotistic that you have to have a head GM and a co-GM? Oh, my goodness.
Yes, I am the most egotistical person you're bringing.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm very insistent on things like that.
Shut it all down. We're out.
No, but hello. Thank you for having me on. I've been on here a couple times now. It's always a lot of fun, so always happy to come in. And am I actually the most senior person here? God, I feel that makes me feel old, and I really am.
You are the oldest young person on the podcast for certain.
That's interesting. Yeah, I remember being in this server probably, about 5 or 6 months ago, to the podcast where I was the rookie. Everyone else was older than me, but times change, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's been 11. And today's my 11th month anniversary in the league, so
holy cow!
For a while.
Yeah, I've only been around for 3 months, 4 months. I think it was October and November. So
time flies.
Tell you what. All right, so we're gonna start with I like to talk about baseball origins and kind of get a feel for you guys. For those of you who don't know, who haven't listened before, haven't heard the podcast before, I'm a huge Cubs fan. I was born in the city, raised in the suburbs, and probably my favorite player growing up was Mark Grace. He was just a steady presence in the bullpen, in the locker room, and always just showed up. Kind of came in, did his job, and was quiet about it. And also had one of my funniest clips of all time, which was him legging out a triple the time that he hit the cycle. So Barry B Benson, tell us about your baseball origin story.
So I started playing about 10 years ago. Just kind of got thrown on the team. Didn't even know what baseball was. Started going to games there, Phillies games. Jimmy Rollins became my favorite player. Start off. Got to see the Phillies suck for the past 10 years. And that's pretty much it.
My first baseball experience was a Phillies game as well. So parallel.
Yeah, nothing wrong with enjoying a team even when they suck out loud. I think that actually shows more dedication in a lot of ways, right? It's very easy to be a fan of a team who is constantly going, even into the playoffs, let alone the World Series, and it's much harder to be a fan of a team that's, maybe they've got a solid lineup or a good roster, but it's not the best roster, right? You got a bunch of players who might be in the Hall of Very Good, who are fun to watch, but maybe not necessarily in the Hall of Fame, right? So, as a Cubs fan for all of my life, I can identify with that for sure. Nothing wrong with that at all. All right, Yosheroo, tell us about your baseball origins. How'd you get started in baseball?
Right. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Canadian, so that means I grew up watching hockey and not really paying attention to any of the other sports. So it wasn't until I was like 10 years old that one of my friends from school was like, "Oh, hey, you should go play baseball with me." Because if you recommended someone, you got a bit of like a discount when you registered for the season. So, yeah, I got roped into baseball for 1 year, and I was absolutely abysmal at baseball, right? I played youth baseball for like 3 seasons. I did not get a single hit at all. When I was pitching, like the first hit I gave up was a grand slam. So yeah, I sucked at baseball, but you know what? Baseball, which is such a unique sport compared to all of the other stuff you see, because well, there's no score clock, there's really no pressure to hurry up. It's just nice, relaxed. You're laid back. If you go to the ballpark, just get a hot dog, and you're vibing pretty much. So it was definitely a good change of pace from watching like the fast atmosphere of hockey. So that's kind of what got me hooked into baseball. And a great reason that I ended up like really getting into baseball was the year that I started first playing was that really wild Blue Jays run where they picked up like guys like Tulowitzki, David Price, and they somehow won the division. And yeah, that was the season where Bautista hit that bat flip home run. And like I followed that team for like that entire season. It was like every day I'd wake up in the morning, and it's like we'd put on like Sports Center, like Canada has their own version of Sports Center, and we'd just put it on and watch like Blue Jays highlights, Josh Donaldson diving into the stands, all that good stuff. And it's like after that season, how can you not like love baseball?
Yeah, I think it's always I really enjoy hanging out and watching the smaller market teams. I think it's almost more exciting, right? Because they're putting together. They have to have these strong farm systems. They have to put together squads with with budgets. They have to players have to come in if they're going to come in and sometimes take a little bit of a hit. And sometimes that means they're hungrier, like they want it more. So sometimes those plays are just a little bit more exciting to watch. That's very cool.
Totally agree with that. It's a great sentiment.
So that's the baseball origin stories. Let's talk about the PBE origin stories. Barry, what brought you over to the PBE? How'd you come over?
So there's Discord. I don't know if you ever heard of the game Werewolf. Basically, there's a team of werewolves and there's a team of town. Town tries to get rid of the werewolves try to get rid of the town. And in that server is Mr. Cowboy. And one day he just randomly posts a link, and I was like, why not? I'll just join this and see what happens. So I joined it, made my player, got picked up by the Kingpins, and the rest is history.
So Cowboy brought you in. Moosey brought in Cowboy. So secondhand, Moosey brought you in. Congratulations. That's the magic he pulls.
He's a natural born kingpin. By divine right.
That's right. Listen, if the draft could have been us having multiple picks, I'm sure that Cowboy would have ended up a kingpin. It just, I think a lot of people talked about during the draft how a lot of teams, unfortunately, like you want to draft the best players, obviously, but then you also have to fill certain positions. Like if you don't fill certain positions, no matter how cool your locker room is, you'll just lose all the games. Like if you don't get any starting pitchers, then you have a bunch of bots pitching for you, and it's not going to work out. So we're glad who we got, but it would have been cool to also have Cowboy because that dude cracks me up.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely echo that for like my sentiment in the majors. Like it's always a big thing is to there's such awesome people in the draft, but you just don't need them, and you have to be like, sorry, we can't draft you.
Right.
Oh, in some respects, it's not as bad in the majors because you can like definitely get people spend time in the minors. It's not like an immediate thing, but still.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Position swaps exist and such, but it still sucks.
Got to find that balance. I mean, everyone's got to find their fun. I always talk about that. It's whatever's fun for you, keep doing it. If you're playing and it's not fun for you, then change something to find the fun. So, if being a position player wouldn't be fun for you and someone asks you to do it, then you don't do it. That's like don't feel like you're pressured or whatever. Yeah. All right, so Yosheroo, what brought you over to the PBE?
Yeah, I know a lot of folks that I knew, like Tristan, who I know from Major League Reddit Ball. He was like, "Oh, Brusdar, join PBE." It's like for me, I was already committed to SHL, so I wasn't sure if I really had the time to add on a second sim league. But this most recent draft class, a lot of like the fake baseball folks like were joining in. I know Moosey was recruiting from our Major League Number Ball team, and yeah, Moosey brought over our GM, and it was like at that point with all those folks I knew that was joining, I thought, hey, might as well get in on the craze and give it a try.
Yeah, it was like the draft was. We were calling it Moosey's Boys because it was just like it was. Moosey just recruited like every like all of the first rounders. I feel like pretty much that weren't recreates. So it's cool that you guys all just enjoy sim leagues in general. That passion's already there. So it's nobody's taking a risk on you guys, right? Because you already know the drill. You know how it works, and we're glad to have you for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
So
yeah,
let's.
definitely.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
can attest to what you were saying about SHL versus PB. Like as someone who's in both leagues as well, SHL can definitely be a bit of a time consumer, but PB is usually not quite as bad.
Yeah, it's one of those. Usually you can crank out the PTs. I don't know. For me, it's like 10 minutes. It's not too bad. So it's just you kind of have to find a rhythm with all of it. It's not hard at all. Let's talk draft stuff. Get some reactions from those of you who weren't able to speak to it before, didn't know about the predictions. When we last talked, it was pre-draft. Now we're post-draft. Let's start with Cleetus McSandwiches. How'd you feel about that draft? How did things go? What are you thinking?
Called my shot, didn't I? Said in my pre-draft mock draft that I was going to go to San Antonio, and that's where I ended up. So pat myself on the back for that one, I guess. But I was still surprised. I mean, I didn't know what was really going to happen until saw my name on the draft posting. So it was a really cool feeling to go to one of the most successful teams. So I'll take it, and I get to be there with CBS, right? So get to keep that, as we said in the previous pod, keep the double team partnership going, right? So obviously he'll probably be called up a season or two ahead of me, but I'll be up there with at least one or two people that I know. So it's gonna be cool. I think it's a good spot.
Yeah, I think my first reaction was just Sloth's too strong, please nerf. That was like as someone who got drafted by DVS, I hate to see it. I hate to see
As a
the
major
Sloths get
GM,
picked.
I have to echo that sentiment for sure.
Oh,
I chose to.
right. I mean, yes, we want the Sloths to succeed, except when they're playing our teams, and then also during the playoffs. Like if our teams are playing, if we're not playing, then yeah, please go Sloths.
For sure. Yeah, I'd rather have San Antonio win than those unlikable Scorpions, if you know what I mean.
I mean, it's you know, it's fair. It's totally fair. The team is broken. We only drafted one person, and we're still insane. It's fine. We only draft the player that we had to. Like I'm sure if we could find a way, we could have found a way that last draft to not have a pick. We would have, but it's fine. But yeah. So I'm excited to. I mean, obviously, we don't know exactly the path to the majors, right? We have ideas, and we can watch and see who the players above us are, right? So like I've had conversations with Person Man about, obviously I'm going to fill in an outfield position, depending on who you ask. I believe Evoc has said it's Lefevre, or maybe it's Lefevre, and I've also heard it pronounced Lefave.
It's Lefave. I've gotten. I don't know. Me and Evoc are good friends, and I'm one of our first encounters was on the World Series stream in S20 when I kept pronouncing it Lefevre, and she, I don't know. We've had a good laugh about it, but yeah, it's Lefave. Just
All right. So that's the player that I'm essentially waiting on. So as far as I think she just hit her, I want to say second season of regression. I'm not sure if it was first or second. But typically players stick around. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, she says 13, so she's got a couple more seasons.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So yeah, she just started regressing, and so I don't think that hole potentially opens up immediately. I think it's going to be a couple seasons. But I don't know. I don't know what her headspace is. Obviously, like, players do what they want, right, and do what's fun for them. But I can tell you that while she was regressing her players, she was like, "This isn't fun." I think that we kind of all have that sentiment of like making our player stronger is exciting, and making your player weaker is probably the opposite. That kind of makes sense. But yeah, so I'm not sure for you guys. I'm obviously we're all going to be down here for this season, and then we'll see how next season goes. We'll see what happens during the year, but it's potentially, all of us could still be down next year, still crushing it, still dominating. Honestly, I've said this many times. I don't mind sticking around the minors a little bit extra. So I'd like to, put up some big numbers for the Crush fam and the Kingpins in general. And I don't know. I think you guys are fun, so I don't mind sticking around a little bit longer.
Dude, I left 5 seasons ago and I still haven't gone. This place is so fun. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah, the locker room's just very unique. I mean, I don't know. It's not that I don't ever talk in the DBS locker room, but I just don't know as many folks there. I don't vibe with quite as many people. Like, obviously, I know, I've had some good conversations up there, so it's not to dig at anyone up there. But yeah, this is home.
I feel that.
Kingpin's
It's hard to make a jump from your minors team to your majors team.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah.
So Barry, how did you feel about the draft? What are your thoughts? What are your reactions?
Well, honestly, I was really expecting to be picked by Kashima. I thought I was going to have to be taking on like a huge rebuild with part of Kashima, with them being mostly inactive or younger players. But then I ended up getting drafted by the Toros and Bauer, and ended up getting Gunk. I get to stay with
Toros
Gunk
are going
for the
through a
next.
rebuild as well. So, but yeah, you're right.
They're going through a bit of a rebuild, but they have a lot of better picks coming up. A couple first rounders. I think there were 2 in the top 12 picks that they had this past draft, and they have like 2 or 3 next season. So I think we're looking good for the future. And then of course, my boy Gunk and his copy paste that he gets.
What a fun thing that you brought to. I mean, I'm all you know me. I'm all about the organic stuff, like things that happen naturally. So I think there was like a Seinfeld episode about this where George Costanza tries to like create his own nickname. Like, I like it when other people do things, and then I can just like take that. That's mine now. Great, I'm going to use it. That was the whole origin story of the Crush fam. So it was so cool that you gave that to him. Like, that is like the biggest thing you can do in a locker room, is you help someone build an identity essentially in that locker room. It's a really cool thing to do. So I don't know if you realize, like, it's not something that's ever going to appear in your TPE or in your cash, but we see it, and that's part of the reason why I'm sure Bauer and Jay Steele were like, we got to get this guy.
T-Bone. That's the Seinfeld one.
Yeah, that's what he wanted his nickname to be, T-Bone. It's so stupid. But yeah, no, seriously, that's I'm so glad that you guys are getting called up with other Kingpins to similar teams. So that's really cool. And going to people we know, like obviously Yoshero's Kingpin's legend, Bauer's Kingpin's legend. So that's very awesome.
The Detroit has I think we have a lot of Kingpins on our team. We have we have Stacking Paper, we have Yellnots, and we have Vaughn. I believe are our only Kingpins, but still 3 as part of our core is very good.
Yeah, and Machine Run Runs he's had some like really exciting games. He's obviously a big presence. He's very active in the league and everything.
Oh no, I'm sorry. We Charlie Law Jr. is also a Kingpin.
There you go, even better.
Yeah, but he was OG Kingpin. He was here in S17, and I don't think he was here after that. Or no, he was here in S18 too. So a while ago, but still, yeah, having a good majors career.
Once a Kingpin, always a Kingpin, unless you say that you want to get drafted by somebody else, in which case you're dead to us. That's it.
We also briefly had Haseo/Mouse, but he went to Vancouver VGM, so good for him.
Well, he's on his he posted, right? He's on his farewell tour, so we'll see.
Yeah, I wish him the best whenever that brings him.
Yeah, well, again, it goes back to the fun conversation, right? It's like this was causing stress in real life. Real life has to always come first. So
Yeah.
it's a smart move. I think everyone respects it, and it's cool for him to share that part of it too. Like he could have just said like, yeah, I just need to step down, personal reasons. It was very cool for him to kind of clue us in on that aspect of his life, and it's kind of another reason why I love PBE is people just share their lives with us in a lot of cases. It's a very cool thing to do. Like I don't know, there's so many spaces on the internet that just aren't safe spaces, and you just can't say things like that because someone's going to attack you or someone's going to cut you down. And like every post was just like, yeah, man, that's the smart thing to do. We appreciate you. That was it. That was like the entire reaction thread. It was great.
For sure. I agree. I wish the best for Mouse. He's a good guy.
So Yosheroo, coming to the Crush fam, what are your thoughts about that? How are you feeling about that? What are you excited about? What are you a little nervous about? What's going on in your head?
Yeah, I am very excited. Like, yeah, I know a lot of folks in this locker room. TARDIS, we vibe with the Zerkers, right? Moosey,
Yeah.
we're Buffalo together. And yeah, Mouse, I'm assuming he's still coaching for the Kingpins. Yeah, Mouse we were teammates in Major League Red Ball for a long time. So yeah, being in a locker room with folks that's great because like yeah, it's not like you don't completely feel like a fish out of water. You have that sense of familiarity. It's like yeah, and once that starts, it's like you just get the vibing going. And yeah, I'm definitely excited to do some more sim leaguing. I'm not sure how Brusdar Lemonade is going to turn out because I have like no experience with OOTP, but hopefully with like everyone's advice, Brusdar Lemonade can have a steady rookie season and plenty more good seasons to come.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd say you're in a good locker room for that because the build help channel that we've got, anytime I've had any questions, it's been really constructive. So, and you got a lot of good pitchers, either currently on the team or like with Moosey, he's going to stick around, I'm sure, right? Like you can get some really good advice.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like I don't know the pitching meta tremendously. I'm more focused on the hitting. But one thing I've noticed with a lot of pitchers is like the flamethrower meta is huge right now. A lot of people going like max velocity, and that seems to be really successful. So I saw that that's your build, so you're probably in good hands there. And pretty much just copying Moosey is not the worst thing you could do at all. Like Moosey's
right.
Oh, he's like they're talking about me. I gotta go.
Never forget. I was originally the one who helped Moosey build, make his build. So
oh snap!
At least with his pitches.
So
back
then,
in like
yeah.
S20.
So TARDIS, you need to be more active in our build help channel.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I do my best.
No, you're fine, man. You're fine.
There you go, Yosheroo. I think TARDIS just offered his services, so you better take him up on that.
Yeah, Moosey is true. He has switched his build since then, so I guess my advice was very good.
Yeah, and then depending, of course, I mean, yeah, just look at who's successful, because that's what I did when I first started. Like, I just looked at players that had solid careers and had a similar archetype to me, and just looked at their updates, and then I just started parroting their updates, and then I would also throw it in the build chat too. Dag would kind of give me a pointer in the right direction, and occasionally Moosey, and so yeah, so that combination of doing your own research, throwing it out there into the ether, seeing what people think is usually pretty strong. But I also like to play with I like to do a lot of sim stuff. So I like to I just edit my player when I want to make changes and see what that does. Like see if the sims are more generous or less generous depending on where my stats are.
Sim giveth and the sim taketh away.
Yeah, I mean I talked about this last time, but there was a post about from Nameless Nate about his player Jody Quinn being a ground ball tendency hitter, and since there's been a lot of people have run other tests and said like, it might not be as impactful as he thinks. He might have just run into some bad luck. But being a batted ball profile fly ball hitter, normal and fly ball, it seems like it's like fly ball, line drive, normal are pretty much all about the same, and that's essentially the order that they go in slightly. So fly ball is slightly better than line drive hitter, and line drive is slightly better than normal, but they're all about the same. But they're all significantly better than ground ball hitter. Like statistically, it looks like there is actually a correlation between success in fly ball versus ground ball. Just maybe not to the extent that he posited, but yeah, if you look at my player, he kind of referred to my player as like one of the more blessed because based on my numbers, typically I hit or perform significantly better than my stats allow for. So like I usually run simulations like against the Dynamos because I think actually the Dillos have a neutral park. That's who I run against. But yeah, so I'll run sims and I'll just see like, okay, how's my player doing versus everybody else, and then I'll like change my stats. So I'll go into the editor and I'll say like, okay, what happens if I have less power or more power, things like that. So I don't know. It's a lot. Obviously, like this is probably more time than a lot of folks want to invest into a sim league, but I recommend it if you got the time. If you're curious about this stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, you can see I'm always the best. I'm always the best because I'm broken.
Aren't we all?
That's right. So talk to me. So I don't know a ton about the majors. Obviously, my headspace is still in the minors, but tell us about the Demons. The big moves in the off season. A lot of things happen in the off season that I probably don't understand. So walk me through maybe one or two of those really big trades and what you're hoping for out of those.
Well, I mean, I was starting to kind of start off with the beginning of our off season was where, crap, I'm having trouble remembering now. So the first big thing we did is we traded for Kid Carsey, part of the Cancun. They were going to rebuild. They offered us to him. We talked a bit. I think we got a decent deal. Maybe overpaid a little bit considering your standards. Actually, interesting fact: we actually traded the pick to Cancun that they picked our good friend Barry B Benson with, 30th overall. So it's interesting. But yeah, we traded, we got him, and he's been great in our locker room. We've been enjoying the hell out of having him. Definitely a good pickup for us. And we need him because our previous player, Dylan, he kind of retired on us just out of nowhere. And that really kind of screwed us. So yeah, we had to get someone to replace him. But we did. And of course, he's been great. We think he's going to be good next season. Then in the draft, we traded around a couple times. We actually had 2 overall for a bit, but we traded that down for 8 and 22. And we traded 16 and 22 for 10. And we got Sparky D, who's some of my scouts and my coach team that spoke very, very highly of. So I'm happy we got them for sure. And then finally, free agents came around, and we've been talking a lot with Revan Knox and Striker Spin Rate. They're a bit of a package deal, and we really need them because we need a big bat. Our hitting absolutely sucks. And Knox won a Gold Glove. So sorry, I won a Silver Slugger last year. So we thought he'd be a great target. And he and Spin Rate are package deal. So we got the 2 of them together, and we figured it's gonna be a pretty good season with the 2 of them. Hopefully, Knox can kind of anchor our defense with something real. Or not our defense, our offense is something really good.
Sure. Yeah, a lot of big moves. I think. Hummus Scott, obviously a big fan of the Demons, has talked about a lot on stream. About how he's excited. He's always been excited about what you guys are going to eventually do. And it sounds like you guys just put something together that's going to accelerate that, like by 3 seasons, basically.
Yeah, for sure. We added, the Knox and the Spin Rate deal probably added about 2,500 TP to our team. And then Carsey probably is kind of replaced Dylan, but probably still added a good amount more TPE. Plus, everyone on our team is active, so probably another 1,000 or so right there. So I'm very optimistic for our team. I think right now we're probably 4th or 5th in TPE compared to like 8th or 9th last year. So yeah, let's hope we're a bit better because I'm so tired of being shit. I want to be better.
Right. I mean, it's about the fun. So it sounds like the game is a little bit more fun for you when you're more successful.
Yeah.
And so hopefully we can get you there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I took over the team and then we're in a really bad spot. Like pretty much everybody had retired. All of our high TP players have retired. We had a bunch of prospects. We had no prospects really. So yeah, it was a bad time, but I think I drafted really well. We got some really solid parts of the core now.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, man. I know. Again, it's one of those, like you've mentioned your player specifically. It's been tough to watch in some cases because he's had some really tough seasons. He's had a lot of not so great luck. Looking at the ERA the last couple seasons has been not great.
I'm going to be in the pen this year, so we'll see how that treats me.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, the home runs per nine are. I mean, yeah, 2 is bad, but like 1.5 is fine. A 1.3 WHIP is really solid. 1.2 is kind of like that sweet spot, right? If you can get it 1.2 or under,
for sure.
you're in the elite status. But 1.3 isn't bad at all. So, and what are you? How many TP are you coming in on at this
Like
point?
1,300, 1,350, I think.
Yeah, and I mean the climb to 1,000 is a huge like power surge, and then you start to kind of plateau. So like going from like 1,000 to 1,300. It's important, but it's still not. It's not like an insane increase, or you're.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's a lot of people over 1,000 TP in the league, so it's a little bit of a plateau, but we'll see how it goes. It's definitely going to be a bit more random up at high TPs, which is unfortunate, especially for hitters.
Well, we're rooting for you.
Yeah.
Unless we play, and then I'm rooting against you.
Oh.
But then still rooting for you. That's
Yeah.
It's like being a fantasy baseball fan, or having a bunch of players on your team. You're like if some of those players are playing my Cubs, I'm going to be sad, but I'm also going to be glad if they do well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's in like the fantasy baseball aspect helps me deal with the frustration of loss a lot better. Like I don't get as stressed or as frustrated when my team is doing poorly. If a consolation prize, the people on my fantasy team are doing great.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the thrill for me for the PBE fantasy baseball. That's one thing. Like right now, I'm not super into it, but I feel like when I get called up into the majors, I'm going to be very into it, and I'm going to try to intentionally pick players that I think are going to face my team a lot. So that way, if they do well, it's like, yeah, we lost, but it's still cool.
I like the optimistic point of view.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's honestly for me, PBE is like a light in the darkness right now. There's a lot of stressors, there's a lot of frustration in my life, and this is a place where I can come and vent and just enjoy life. So that's what I'm trying to do. But what is it? So I've mentioned finding the fun a bunch of times. That's a central theme for me. I think, and again, for me, it's 100% the locker room. It's doing the podcast and getting to know people. I really enjoy this part of it. Let's just go down the line real quick. Cleetus, what is it about this league, this team, this game that you're really enjoying or kind of draws you back?
I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting much out of the locker room, but it's been a lot of fun. Hadn't been on Discord before, so just checking it every once in a while, seeing what Barry B Benson has posted next, right? To just kind of see the randomness and the silliness that goes on, and then obviously on game days, it's pretty cool. But otherwise, just I really enjoyed, even when I made the minor updates at the beginning, just seeing how that impacted the what happened in the sim, and seeing positive reinforcement was cool. Like I increased power by, I don't know, 3 points or something, and next couple of games the guy hits home run, right? So that's been a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to the season, see what actually happens next. Because I've made some adjustments, quite a few adjustments actually. So, but see it out on the field.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, I think the central theme is going to be that locker room, but seeing the player evolution is really cool. So yeah, definitely seeing you put your stats into things and getting the results oriented approach, having that explosive postseason that eventually became normal eventually. but
Yeah.
what a postseason regardless, right? Still better than Chris Jacob anyway.
Except for that World Series.
Listen, we don't want to talk about that. No, but seriously, I'm glad. I'm glad that this is a fun place, and I'm glad that seeing your player evolve and change is really exciting for you. So how about you, Barry? What is it about the league, the game, the peoples, whatever? What in particular is kind of pulling you back in? What keeps you excited to be here?
Obviously, it's a lot with just the interactions with people. Like I just like talking to people, whether it be in the clubhouse or in the main PBE servers. I just it's a lot of the social aspect that's keeping me in this, and then obviously trying to make my players as good as I can. so I can be as good as I can. And I don't know, it's working towards the majors and talking to people is mainly what I'm in this for.
Right on. Yeah, someone else posted. There was a big post. I think it was I forget. Goliathus was the user who just posted something about saying, some rules to live by if you're going to play in the PBE.
Oh, yeah, he
One of
plays
the
for Death
things-
Valley, right?
Yeah, I think so. But the rules to live by, and he mentioned that the big thing is establishing career goals. So like understanding why you're playing the game, and then coming in and saying things like, "Hey, I want to eventually play in the majors," and get to know people that way too. It's important to set that stuff up early, so that you don't kind of spin your wheels and get frustrated, right? Like you don't want to, like your goal should if you're like, my goal is to be an MVP, and then you don't do anything to get towards it, or you don't externalize it, and nothing ever happens, then you'll just get bored and you'll stop playing. So yeah, I think it's awesome that you have that already. And then what about you, Yosheroo? I mean, it's early yet. Obviously, you've mentioned you're excited to interact with these similar people, but what is it about this locker room so far, just this first week that has really stood out to you, or maybe something that you've done on the forums that's really been exciting?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things for sure, it's been echoed before, but yeah, having that locker room that's active, that's engaged, there's like people talking daily, and it's not just like one person checking in, it's like a bunch of folks checking in, talking, just conversations going on. That's definitely that's the dream with like having these folks you can interact with. I know you've mentioned folks sometimes they get pretty personal, they share a lot of like their in real life stuff because they know they can trust these folks. And yeah, having that really like locker room that feels like family, it's gonna be a great experience. It definitely makes the experience a lot better compared to like say if you end up in a locker room where it's definitely a lot more quiet, a lot less active folks. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to interact more with folks. And yeah, and like with like Barry said, everyone said, but like player goes, yeah. I think normally I don't know about with PBA, but I know SHL. Your first year in the junior league, it's gonna be a grind because of how low your TPE is. But it's definitely gonna be exciting to see like that player come into fruition, especially like even if it takes like a season or two to really get going. Once like your player starts really doing well in Sims, that's when it's like you're really enjoying it.
Yeah, it helps to do both. Like it helps to have that really exciting locker room, and then it helps if your player is doing, at least contributing, right? Like I don't think anyone expects their player to be the best player just right out the gate, but it's nice if you have a big strikeout, or if you have a big at bat, something to that effect. Then you can hang your hat on that. Like when I first started, I was using my Twitter as kind of a mini highlight reel. Like I would go into, when we do the live streams, I would grab clips pretty much anytime my player was at bat and did anything except for strikeout. That would be what I would post on my Twitter when I first started, because that was exciting for me. So it was like creating my own player's highlight reel was kind of fun, and seeing the moments themselves though. I mean, it's just knowing that, like, cool. Not only did I do a thing, but I helped my team do a thing, and then other people saw me do the thing. So it's kind of that universal, like that. It's that little shot of adrenaline. You're like, oh, cool, I'm part of something big. Like I love that. I love that feeling. So we've talked about locker room vibes and kind of how things are getting on. Let's talk about a little bit of spring training, what you guys are thinking about coming into the season, and we talked about player goals. What do you think about as far as team goals, or is there something specific that you're chasing? Let's start with Mr. McSandwiches.
Well, I mentioned I dumped a lot into power, and I just want to see that come to fruition. Well, power and BABIP, so got to bring the batting average up, and I'm hoping he can climb up the batting order a little bit. Dude was in batting eighth the entire last season, except for some reason our the first round of the playoffs. He was batting sixth, so I know we've got some people that are leaving. So I just want to see him climb up the batting order.
I can actually partially answer that for you. Not entirely, but partially. So I help out the GMs with simulations, and it must have something to do with Scary Terry being a lefty and being an extreme pull hitter, but he was simming really poorly against the Dynamos, just really terribly. And then against the Dillos, he simmed normally again. So that was why you guys, I think you, Atlas, both jumped up. Just because he was simming so poorly, and then again it just kind of normalized. So I don't know if that has to do with their pitching lineup, their stadium, because again, Amarillo's a neutral park, so I think the Dynamos might have something else going on. We can check it real quick, but yeah, that's the reason. So there was a method to the madness. I don't know. There are pro lefties, so I don't know why. I don't know why he was simming so terribly against them, but he was, so we fixed it. And I guess it worked out if we swept him, right? So I guess we'll just pretend the results, the ends justify the means no matter what, right?
Yep, is the joke. All right, I'm sorry to leave to do this, but dude, I gotta head out real quick here. Thank you for having me on this podcast. A lot of fun.
Oh, thanks, Charles. Thanks for being here, and we'll catch you later.
Nice to talk to you.
All right, Yosheroo, you're brand new. You're just coming in. You're helping out the squad already. I saw that you changed over from reliever to starter, and that's going to help us a ton. What are your thoughts kind of coming into spring training, and what are you looking for your player to do?
Yeah, I think definitely it's for Lemonade, just making sure that starter build is good and steady, and then we're just going to build from there for sure. Yeah, it's going to be pretty fun. It's definitely not what I envisioned at first. I thought I'd be chasing like save records and all that stuff, but it's an exciting change for sure. Like becoming a starter, working the rotation, and yeah, we'll see how Lemonade does with a lot more like responsibility being a starter, having to have a steady game, because if your starter isn't doing well, that's when things get a bit shaky for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to replace our dear Moosey as a call-up, which is impossible, but essentially we're shifting, Gunk and Barry Benson up into those kind of number 1 and number 2 spots. So we need a strong third, and we're probably going to be running a bot fourth, because that's just what we have to do. So yeah, really important to get you up there. We appreciate that you're just like, let's go. So that attitude helps a lot, and yeah, that was awesome to hear. Mr. McSandwiches has to head out. We appreciate your time, sir. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for having your second experience on the Crush Fan podcast. You take care.
Okay.
But yeah, I think for my player, I'm excited to hopefully put up. I mean, again, I've kind of mentioned, like, my rookie season was so insane that I don't expect to ever have a better season than my rookie season. But it would be cool to. I would really like to. I'd like to be, a war contender, as I know. I mean, again, I don't hang my hat on the awards. I don't think to myself, like, oh, if I don't win an award, I haven't met my goals. That doesn't mean it wouldn't be nice. It doesn't mean it's like, hey, if looking at the stat lines, I was tied for the most home runs, and that was about it. And if you look at my rookie season, I was like second in almost all categories to Will Fisher, and then first in a couple of them. So you can see, like, it's the same thing again, where, like, I'm just behind him in average. Well, not just behind, but I'm behind him in average. I'm behind him in OPS. That Will Fisher, man, he's just the greatest minor league center fielder ever, pretty much. I can't do anything. But that's the kind of stuff I look at. Like, it's Chris Jacobs' locker room fuel, I suppose. Looking at these stats and looking at how these other players have performed, and go, I'm gonna get there. Or I'm gonna do better this year. This is gonna be my year. That's kind of the mindset that I like to take, or what I like to bring in there. So then let's talk just real quick. Not necessarily season. Well, yeah, let's just do season predictions. That's fine. So looking at, I know that a lot of you guys did draft posts, and you've probably kind of done like cursory glances at the league and how things are going and kind of how the teams are shaping up. Barry, let's start with you. What are you thinking about as far as the leaders in each division? Maybe give me the top 2 teams in each division, including the expansions, of course. What are you thinking about all that, and what do you think that means for the Kingpins?
Honestly, I haven't really looked much at who's making up the rosters for the new expansion teams. So I don't know how they're shaping up to be, but I'm almost positive, and I'm pretty sure almost everybody else is positive the 66ers will be taking the West Division by quite a lot. And I feel like in the East, it'll be us and then probably Dallas competing for the 1 or 2 spot for this next season. And hopefully we'll make another World Series, make it our 3rd straight. But I don't know much about the Brew City Bears or the Lemurs or how they're supposed to be. But as long as we keep playing good, I feel like we could make our 3rd World Series in a row and possibly win our 1st one.
Yeah, obviously the expansion changes things, changes the math a little bit, and for the most part, so we shouldn't expect either of those teams to be stronger than us. However, depending on which of those teams is better could have a direct impact on us. So if the Brew City Bears end up in our division, in the East Division, and are the technically weaker of the 2 teams, that helps us, right? Because we're going to play them more. Versus if they end up in the other division, it could hurt us a little bit because they're going to play those other teams more, give them a better record. And home field advantage kind of it plays a bit of a part in the playoffs. So yeah, it's kind of that X factor. I'm thinking along your same lines. Yosheroo, again, relatively new, but what do you think about kind of coming into the season and expectations as far as that stuff goes?
Yeah, I honestly I am very out of the loop on like how like the teams look. But I would say I feel like we have a good chance. Like I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the same thing, but when I was coming on for SMJHL and sim hockey, our team was like pretty strong, like playoff contender. Like the season before I joined, like they were in the conference finals, so like in baseball that's like the championship series. And then yeah, they added in some only a few rookies, but then went all the way, won the championship. I'm not saying I don't know if we're going to, but I have a good feeling. I would love to see that parallel for sure. And yeah, I have a good feeling. That's about all I can say.
No, here's what I'm thinking. So I pulled up the history. You'll notice that the Chicago Kingpins have never had a winning record. It's never happened. I'm calling it now. The Kingpins are going to have a winning record this season. I'm calling it. That is my prediction. And obviously it's kind of a cheating prediction because we're going to have expansion teams. But still a prediction, and I still think it's going to be pretty solid. So take that to the bank and cash it. That's coming from the Crush Fan podcast. So we're a little biased. But yeah, honestly, I don't know. I think there were a lot of... Yeah, back-to-back. Listen. Back-to-back would be pretty sick. I'm just saying. But ultimately, yeah, I think the Kingpins have a great shot of the playoffs. When we get to the playoffs, who knows? I think most years that I've seen any sort of simulations in OOTP, the vast majority, roughly 80% of the time, one of the wildcard teams makes the World Series. Roughly 80% of it. It's insane. I don't know exactly why that happens. I can tell you part of it is that a lot of the time the wildcard teams are not necessarily the weakest teams. It's just kind of how the division lines up. Or sometimes they ran into bad luck, right? If you look at the expanded standings, you can see things like, one-run games. So maybe they just had really bad luck on one-run games, or maybe other teams had really good luck on one-run games. So you look at like the 66ers were insane in extra innings games. They were 7-1 versus most teams were like, 4-3, 5-4, 4-6. You know, nobody else had really good luck in extra inning games, but the 66ers were amazing in them. So that part of it, yes, obviously the composition of the team is a factor, but ultimately it's going to be a lot of sim variance too. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm excited about. Is I believe that this will be the Kingpins' first winning record. I don't know exactly what that means as far as the playoffs go. I hope we make the playoffs too, but I like our chances. And then you look at the lineup. We're losing Theeks because he's already had his 5 and he's retired. So he's had 5 seasons in the minors and then announced his retirement. Either way, so even if there was like a loophole, we don't get him back. And as far as we know, at this time, unless something else has changed or something else has come across the wire, the rest of the lineup is pretty much intact. At this time. Is it subject to change? Absolutely. As of this moment, the rest of the lineup looks good. So we essentially have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 6 capped players in our hitting lineup. And our pitchers we're going to have 3 active starters and 2 active relievers. So I don't know. Our team's going to be very competitive. It's going to be difficult for other teams to overcome that. I would say, like Dallas, this is the year when everyone on their team gets strong. This is kind of what they were building towards as far as playoffs go, with all of their active players, all of their recreates. So I think the Dynamos are going to be a little bit stronger this season. I think we're going to be a little bit stronger this season. So it might, like, the standings might be almost identical, but we'll see. I'm holding out hope either way. Well, let's get into some parting thoughts. And let me ask, you know what, Barry? I want to ask you one thing. So I always talk about the Crush Fam origin. I've mentioned it a couple of times, but essentially it was Alex Frank Hortle, who's a big Orioles fan. So Chris Davis is a big deal, obviously, and that's Crush Davis, as he's also known to the Orioles. And then he saw me and Chris Jimenez getting drafted. He started calling us Crush. I just ran with that. I was like, okay, cool, we're the Crush Brothers. Stanley Yelnats came in, Machine and Runs, and changed his name, and then we became the Crush Fam. That was kind of the quick origin story. So I mentioned, giving that gift, giving that copy-paste, the copy-pasta. How did you think to do that? What was it that sparked that for you?
I'm not even gonna lie. I just kind of chose a random person that I saw in the clubhouse, and I'm like, fine, I'll just give you like a random copy pasta, and you're just gonna live with it. So I looked up. I don't know. I the first thing that popped in my mind that I could possibly make a copy pasta of was the Max Kellerman quote about whatever his name is. I don't even remember who it's about. And I just plugged in Tony Young's name and just put it into the Discord and let that play out. But it was really just kind of random. I just picked a random person's name. I think the first name I saw was Tony Young, so I just chose him.
Well, obviously it worked out well, and yes, as CBS is letting us know, is Iguodala on the Warriors. Yes, they were talking about, in a dire situation with, I forget the exact quote, but it's, you need a 3 to tie it, blah, 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 open jump shot, who takes it? And he was saying, it's not Steph Curry, it's Iguodala is what he was saying, and everyone else was just like, what? no one agreed with them. They were like, no, I don't. Even he was just like, I don't know about that. So, no, very cool that you brought that to him. And like I said, that's something that it's a legacy. Like, regardless of what else you do in this league, everyone here is going to remember that. And again, that's why you were a 30th overall steal, is because you brought that. So the stuff like that, keep being active in the locker room. We love to see your nonsense. It makes me happy. So please keep it up. But yeah, so any other final thoughts or anything you wanted to mention, Barry, before we close out?
Go Kingpins.
Simple and effective. Yes, Kingpin's best hype man. I believe we also voted him longest stinger. I think that was the. I should pull
That's
that
correct.
up real quick. Yeah. Pull up the results of CBS's internal awards, because we kind of knew based on the season that we had that we weren't going to have awards. So he took it upon himself to go like, hey, is this will be a cool thing, this will be fun, so we can at least we can know amongst ourselves how great we are. I think that's important. Oh, where was it? It was on Sunday, right? Almost there. There we go. Okay. Voted on by our fellow Kingpins. Batter of the Year award goes to Crush Jacob. Pitcher of the Year award, we had a tie. Tony Gunk and Moosey. Gold Glove award went to Crush Django, our awesome graphics man, hype man. Reliever of the Year went to CJ Baseball, Caledon Stormbless. Rookie of the Year went to the Tony Gunk. Kingpin's Locker Room MVP went to Crush Jacob. The Most Improved Player award went to the Mediocre Pigeon, who is our own Big Chungus in big moments. Our most memorable moment, sweeping the Dynamos to get to the World Series. Our most underrated Kingpin, Crush Django. Listen, he does a lot behind the scenes. I love it. Best bot player, Crowbar Theeks. Yeah, inactive, rather. Yeah. Best player name, Tony Gunk. Absolutely. Biggest Kingpin's rival was unearned runs. We had a lot of unearned runs. It was a lot of pitchers making errors, too. That was insanity. Our Kingpin's MVP, Crush Jacob and Moosey tied. Kingpin's biggest hype man, there it is, Barry B Benson. The biggest Stinger award also went to Barry B Benson. The best podcast in the PBE, this one meant a lot to me, the Crush Fan podcast, obviously. The best minor league GMs, Dag and Moosey both tied. They're both fantastic. So thank you again to CBS for putting that together. That was a lot of fun, and it just meant, it's little stuff like that. It's the stuff that when you don't come up with it yourself, when someone else puts it together, when a group puts it together, it means a lot more. So that was a really cool thing to do. I'm really glad you did that. We should make that a normal thing and keep it going every year, because I think that was a lot of fun to look at. And I just have to say that what I put up for my favorite moment was not, although sweeping the Dynamos was exciting, I enjoyed watching Alex Frank hit our first ever cycle. That was really cool for me. That was my moment. So any other, now that I've mentioned all of those things as well, Barry, any other parting thoughts on the awards? He's like, nah, dude, I won them. That's it.
No, they were all very well deserving of who won them. Obviously, we had the players vote, so everybody who was voted should be deserving of it. I do also agree that our best moment was probably the cycle, 'cause I forgot about that when I was voting. But other than that, I think everything else was pretty good.
Right on. Any parting thoughts, Yosheroo?
Go Kingpins.
I love it. I'm excited to see you win some awards next season. And listen, again, I know we don't do this for the awards. I know we're not in it for the trophies. We're in it for the rings. But, man, it would be cool to win both. Like, maybe we could just... that's what I vote for. If we're voting for things to do this season, I vote that our players win awards, that our team wins awards, that our GMs win awards. I don't know if that might be a controversial thing to say, and I'm not sorry about it. I'm going to say that right now. I'm not sorry. I'm not apologizing for it because I believe it. Just let that sink in. All right. Well, I had a lot of fun. Thank you, Barry, for coming in here and bringing that hype and that energy into our locker room every day, as well as into the podcast again. We see it. We see that stuff. and people who are considered leaders and veterans in the league see that stuff. So keep it up. We love to see it. And Yosheroo, again, welcome to the team. Glad to have you. I'm glad you have so many friends here, friends and colleagues from other leagues already to latch on to. And thank you, as always, to Moosey for bringing people in here. For like, we were talking about that the other day, just real quick. Like, do you ever look at chat and think to yourself, like, wow, I did that? Because they did. Like, him and Dag do that. They put together these cool drafts. They get these random personalities together, and in some cases, yeah, there's a lot of skill involved, but a little bit of luck, sure. You never know. So it's just a lot of fun. I'm glad that we all came together and we're all part of this. So thanks to you guys for staying active and making the game more fun for me. And that'll about do it. Thanks to everyone who listened. Thanks for taking the time, and I'll see you on the field. Take care.